Hello everybody, it is your boy NCS07, and it's been a bit of time, but with all of the DLC for Fire Emblem Engage finally out, I think it's time I finally review all of it. Now, before we start, know that this is a continuation of my Why Fire Emblem Engage is my favorite FE game video, so if you haven't seen that yet, then consider checking that out. I'll leave an end card at the end of this video for you to check out. Secondly, I'll be delving into spoiler territory in this video, so if you don't want spoilers, even though it's been a month since it came out and it isn't very long, consider watching this video after you go through the DLC. Now, with that all said, let's go through the Fire Emblem Engage DLC, and finally end these videos of me talking about Engage. Now, before we get into the Fell Xenologue, which will pretty much be the meat and potatoes of this video, let's first go through the previous DLC waves, as there were 3 waves of DLC before the Fell Xenologue, which was the 4th DLC wave. Most of these waves consisted of Divine Paralogs, where when you beat them, you get the Emblem bracelet you fight against. Personally, the bracelets I like using the most are the 3 Houses leaders, Tiki, Soren, and Veronica, mostly because of what they bring. The 3 Houses leaders are just so much fun to see in this game. Seeing their introduction cutscene was so charming, and their bond conversations are also really endearing. It's so cool. I had a huge smile on my face, and even gameplay-wise, you can use several different weapons in one big attack when engaged, which is a lot of fun. I like it. Tiki has the ability to turn everyone into mannequins, which is fun, and she can also give allies an extra health bar with her big support action or whatever, which can be very helpful if you're trying to level up benched units. Soren, I just like how he is in his bond conversations. I think gameplay wise I don't really use him too much for at least engaged, but I love his bond conversations where he just doesn't give any F's. I'm not gonna say it, but I like it. I like him. And Veronica is also pretty cool because she lets you summon fabrications of either random emblems or just generic class guys to use on your side, which I think is just kind of cool. Overall, I like the new emblems, though. I think Camilla was not a good choice. Really? Really, IS? As for the Divine Paralogs themselves, they're fun as well, though I don't really see myself replaying them much, aside from, footage for this video. There were some other quality of life additions within these updates and waves, like activities that can boost supports in a well where you can get stronger weapons, and for some reason weapons that look like food, and of course, furry suits! Alright, let's get to the meat of this video, the Fell Xenologue, starting off with the gameplay. The Fell Xenologue is very similar to that of 3 Houses Cindered Shadows DLC, where it's rather short and limits a lot of what you can do in between battles. The Fell Xenologue only lasts 6 battles and gives you several new units to use, and the battles are rather similar to that of the ones in the main game. Just beat the boss and don't let certain units die. And while it does sound fun, and it somewhat is, the gameplay in this DLC is very limited, as everything is preset, both levels and classes, so you can't level up characters at all, there isn't any shop to get stronger weapons or items, and the new units, jeez. Both Nell and Nil can't really do much, especially Nil, and the 4 wins. Celestia starts out fine, but after a while she's just a worse Ivy. Gregory is just that, but now mounted, so he can't move that far. And I don't think I've ever seen Madeline hit anything with her axe. Even worse, once you beat the DLC and unlock them in the main campaign, how good they can be varies on when you beat the DLC during the story. If you're like me and you beat the DLC after beating the main story, all the DLC characters are going to be significantly weaker than the rest of your units, or at least the rest of your best units, dying in about 2 hits, which just sucks. And it's a shame because I like them as characters but suck gameplay wise. Also, if you plan on doing multiple playthroughs, you have to beat the DLC every single time per playthrough to unlock them, which is really dumb and is why New Game Plus really should have been added in the DLC. Another issue is the difficulty, as while levels, classes, stats, and all that are preset, it's rather unbalanced, as while normal mode is pretty easy, harder difficulties can be borderline impossible, where certain battles can only be beaten through certain exploits on harder difficulties, which is honestly hilarious. Overall, gameplay wise, while I think the maps and battles themselves are fun enough, there's so many limitations that get in the way that it makes me not want to play it again. And I can definitely see that for a lot of people that the gameplay can be very, very difficult and just not really worth your time after doing it once. But gameplay isn't everything, as there is a new story, so let's take a look at that. Unlike the main story, the Fell Xenologue is much more nihilistic, being all about saving, I guess, an alternate universe world where everyone is now all of a sudden evil. I won't explain the story in detail, instead just talk about the stuff that I liked and didn't like. To start with my likes, I really like how they handled the whole alternate universe. Many other movies and games try to go for it, including even previous Fire Emblem games, and most of the time it isn't done the best. Though in my opinion, I think in this case it's very well done, since Engage's cast is much more light and happy than the rest of the series. Seeing them much more twisted and dark is a real treat to see. Seeing characters like Celine being more aggressive and uncaring towards her people, Ivy being much more outgoing and, well, evil, Figado being like a twisted serial killer is really interesting to see. Though I do wish they went further with this and had more characters besides the prince and princesses of each region, as I think it would have been cool to see characters like Yunaka and like the retainers be fully realized in this new world rather than just being mentioned. I also like the Four Winds as characters. Their supports are quite good, and while their supports are limited between themselves and like Vale and the real world Mavier, their supports are really good and can be a lot more on the sad side, which does add for a bit of a difference with the tone of the supports. I also like Nell quite a bit as a character. While not being the most interesting in the actual Xenologue, as she is kind of somewhat static until the very end, her supports makes her a very endearing character. Though I honestly don't care for Rafal. I think the whole twist is well done, but him coming back with Nell after the final battle to join the party just feels weird to me. It feels very strange, and I don't really like him the most, which is a bit strange since I do like Felix from Three Houses, who is also kind of similar personality-wise, but I don't care for Rafal. Another thing that they could have done better is making the bracelets have more to do with the story, as all they do is just feel tired and their screen time is almost non-existent in the Xenologue. Hell, I don't think there's ever a time the Three Houses leaders are in an actual cutscene, despite probably being one of my favorite emblems in the game, which is a shame. It is a shame. Overall, though, I really do like this new take on Engage's world being more dark, which is nice since one of the biggest complaints of the main game is that it's too bright and happy. So now we kind of get a glimpse into what a darker and more nihilistic world could be like. And while it is definitely short, I still think that the story was really well done. But that's really all I have to say for that, so let's just move on to the conclusion. The Fell Xenologue is definitely a mixed bag, and while the story and characters were all around pretty good and added a lot of new flavor to the game, it offers a very limited gameplay experience that will leave many people never replaying it after finishing it, or frustrated at trying to beat it on harder difficulties. I think, though, I have a more positive outlook on the DLC than negative. Now, do I think that the DLC is worth it? Well, if you played Engage and were rather indifferent towards it, then I would say that the DLC isn't worth it. It's $30. I don't really think it's worth it at that rate if you didn't care too much. But if you're like me and loves Engage, then I think the DLC can be fine enough to go through once, though not again. Still, at the end of the day, though, I am very glad that I got the DLC, and also, just so that way I don't have to do another Engage video later down the line, here's a tier list of the exclusive characters in the DLC, so yeah, make of that what you will. But with that all being said, that's going to do it for this video, so thank you guys for watching. I know this was a bit of a shorter video, but there's not as much to talk about with the DLC. Just wanted to multiply do this so that way I can cover everything with Engage, and then I can cover more original stuff and other stuff as well. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of the DLC and whatnot. And also, if you haven't, again, checked out my big Fire Emblem Engage analysis video, then I'll have the end card on the screen. And yeah, then I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out and take care.